Okay, in this video we're going to talk about graphing perfect competition, and we're going to start with the basic graph that you'll see with perfect competition. That's going to be the one where we're depicting long run equilibrium. And to begin with this, I'm going to draw two side-by-side graphs. The graph on the left is usually going to be the one reserved for the market or for the industry. You might see the word industry instead. And the graph on the right is going to be for the individual firm, the individual farmer, the individual business, whatever it ends up being. The graph on the left is going to be what you've actually been working with already. It's going to be a basic supply and demand graph. So I'm going to have my downward sloping demand curve and an upward sloping supply curve. And then from there, where the quantity demanded equals the quantity supplied, that's going to be my quantity for the market. I'll call that QM. And then this will be the market price, and I'll call this PM. Now, because each individual firm is a price taker in this market structure, we can show that the price that the individual firm is going to have for their lobsters or for their good, it's going to be the exact same as the market. And I'll show that by dashed lines straight across to the individual firm. And I'll have a perfectly elastic demand curve over here. Now, this demand curve is actually a few things all at once. It is the demand. It is also the price of the good. And because we can sell, or this individual firm can sell as many goods as it wants for the same price, it is also the change in total revenue, which is marginal revenue. And again, because if they're going to sell an additional unit, it's going to be that much more for their total revenue. So if the good, let's say, is $5, if I sell one more unit, it's $5 more of total revenue. If I sell two more units, it's $10 more of total revenue. So that's why the marginal revenue is the same as the price, and it's also why the average revenue is the same as the price. So I take my total revenue and divide that by the quantity. I still end up with $5, which in this case would be my price. So all of these things are going to be the exact same, and I'll keep working with my individual firm because now what we can put in are my short run cost curves, and there's usually two that you're going to need. The first one is the marginal cost. The marginal cost is going to be downward sloping until you get to the point of diminishing marginal returns, and then it will be upward sloping after that. Now, the profit maximizing rule is such that the quantity that each individual firm is going to produce is going to be where the marginal cost curve is the same as the marginal revenue curve. And I have that here. Here's my marginal revenue curve. Here's my marginal cost curve. At that intersection, that's going to be the quantity that I'm going to be producing. So I'll call this QF for the quantity of the firm. So what I'll do is get rid of my highlights now. There we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw in my average total cost curve, and where my average total cost curve is, that's going to tell us if we have a profit or a loss, or if we have what's called a normal profit. So if we have a profit, we would have something like this where the average total cost curve goes underneath the price. If we have a loss, we would have a situation where the average total cost curve goes above the price. So again, at this quantity, my price is less than my average total cost. That's not what we're working with here. We've got neither of those. So what we're going to end up with is an average total cost curve that crosses marginal cost curve at its lowest point, and that lowest point is also the price. So it comes down and then goes back up, something like that, where the average total cost curve is, in this case, the same as the price. The average total cost is 5, the price is 5. Now we have a normal profit here, or we have something called $0 of economic profit, and that's fundamental to this. When you're in the long run equilibrium, this will mean that all firms have a normal profit. And we have that here. My total revenue, it will be price times quantity. So let me make a note down below. My total revenue is going to be price times quantity. And if my quantity is 100, let's say, and my price is 5, in this case it would be 500. Now my total cost is going to be the average total cost times the quantity. So it's going to be the cost per good, which is the average, times the quantity. My cost per good here, my average sold cost is also 5, and my quantity is also 100. So in this case, it is also 500. And that's how I end up with a normal profit. So just to recap really quickly, your market or your industry graph will give you the supply and demand, and then from there you can get the quantity for the market and the market price. Now the individual firm is a price taker, so they will set their price at whatever the lobster market or the industry's price will be, and they will have a perfectly elastic demand curve every single time. Now from there you graph your marginal cost curve and your average sold cost curve. Your marginal cost curve gives you your quantity, where those two lines intersect, MR and MC. And the average sold cost curve is going to tell you if you have a profit, a normal profit, or an economic loss. In this case, we have a normal profit because we're operating in a perfectly competitive market under the long run equilibrium.